Welcome to Stay at Home Connect. I'm Phyllis Jackson.
Doctors from Northwestern Memorial Hospital make history, becoming the first to successfully perform 2 double lung transplants on 2 recovered COVID-19 patients. 28-year-old Myra Ramirez had sustained severe and irreversible damage after 6 weeks in the intensive care unit on a ventilator and life support. 62-year-old Brian Coons spent 100 days on a ventilator.
I definitely have a purpose, and if that purpose is just simply telling my story to raise awareness for people to, stay safe and take this condition seriously.
I just took a lot of things for granted. That you look back now and say, wow, I just don't have that back. I'm just gonna try and grab everything I can now.
This important milestone indicates that while the transplant procedure in these patients is quite challenging, technically, it can be done safely. And it offers the terminally ill COVID-19 patients another option for survival.
Doctors say neither of these patients would be alive without the transplants. Northwestern is now providing guidance to other doctors at transplant centers around the world. As information about coronavirus and children continues to evolve, new research suggests that young children carry as much COVID-19 virus as adults. The study, published in JAMA Pediatrics, says kids under the age of 5 had a viral load 10-fold to 100-fold greater than adults in their upper respiratory tracts, meaning children are key drivers of transmission. Scientists reviewed swabs from 95 children, most of whom had a low-grade fever or cough. Authors say the research should be considered in the debate over reopening schools. One of the most commonly discussed symptoms of COVID-19 is the loss of smell. Well, Harvard researchers say they know what's behind this challenge. Scientists determined that sensory neurons that detect and transmit the sense of smell to the brain are not vulnerable, but rather the cells that are responsible for metabolic and structural support to those neurons that are vulnerable to the receptor protein by which COVID-19 uses to enter human cells. Well, the good news, doctors say that in most cases, the infection won't lead to permanent loss of smell. Atlanta City Council member Marcy Collier Overstreet partners with State Senator Nikema Williams to host free COVID-19 testing at the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA.
As you see, the line is steady, the need is big. And so that's what we're doing today, making sure that we're testing anyone that needs to be tested for free.
That's it for Stay at Home Connect. Have a great night.
The Atlanta City Council is cracking down on street racing. At their August 3rd meeting, the council approved an ordinance that sets penalties for people who actively participate in street racing events and exhibitions in the city. If convicted, violators could face a minimum fine of $1,000, spend up to 6 months in jail, have their vehicle impounded, or any combination of the above. Street racing is forcing public streets in Atlanta to be shut down and causing private property damage. Law enforcement is also reporting an uptick in racing events in recent months due to the coronavirus pandemic leaving more streets open. A Peace Museum complex may soon be coming to Rodney Cook Senior Park. The Atlanta City Council voted to authorize a lease agreement with the National Monuments Foundation to include the foundation's development of the Peace Museum complex, including the Peace Column Museum, Georgia Nobel Peace Pantheon, and 18 monuments to Georgia peacemakers at no cost to the city. The council will also accept a donation of an artwork installation dedicated to Congressman John Lewis as part of the agreement.
And last, but certainly not least, the council moves one step closer to making the Atlanta Citizen Review Board a charter-mandated board. Monday's vote was the second of 3 readings required for a charter amendment.
Created in 2007, The Citizen Review Board was formed to provide citizen oversight of misconduct accusations against sworn members of the city's police and corrections departments. The legislation is aimed at further strengthening the board's role. For more recently approved legislation, please visit our website at citycouncil.atlantagA.gov. This has been your Atlanta City Council Legislative Minute.
I'm Phyllis Jackson. Welcome to Stay at Home Connect.
Pharmaceutical company Moderna has launched Phase 3 of its clinical trials and has begun vaccinating participants. The COVE study, or Coronavirus Efficacy Study, is a collaboration between the National Institutes of Health, the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The randomized placebo-controlled trial will include 30,000 volunteers from the United States. Some patients, including young adults diagnosed with coronavirus, continue to have symptoms weeks after testing positive. The CDC report says a persistent cough and fatigue appear to be the most common symptoms. Among those from 18 to 34 with no underlying conditions, 1 in 5 were not fully recovered. Officials with the CDC say patients confirmed to have mild to moderate symptoms are no longer infectious 10 days after symptoms of COVID-19 appear. The agency recently revised its guidance and now discourages people from getting tested a second time after they recover. Northside Hospital is in critical need of recovered COVID-19 patients to donate plasma to current patients fighting the virus. So far, more than 250 people have received convalescent plasma through an ongoing study at Northside. The goal is to collect 1,000 units or more. Qualified plasma donors must meet the following criteria. They must be healthy, over the age of 18. They must have previously tested positive for COVID-19 or had a positive COVID-19 antibody test. They have to have been symptom-free for at least 14 days, and they must successfully screen as a blood donor per FDA blood donation guidelines. For more information or to make an appointment to donate plasma, call 404-477-1299 or visit atlantabloodservices.com. McDonald's will require customers to wear face masks in all of its 14,000 U.S. locations. Additionally, officials from the chain say they plan on adding protective panels to both the front and back of the buildings. And they're hitting the pause button on reopening the dining room for another month. Chipotle is also requiring face coverings in all of its restaurants. Atlanta City Council member Marcy Collier Overstreet takes part in the Stay Woke, Be Vocal, Go Vote Youth Summit.
I am urging anyone that will listen to us to go and early vote. Do not wait until the runoff happens, and I think it's August 11th. Go and early vote.
The summit was hosted by the Ben Hill United Methodist Church and also addressed issues surrounding racial justice and health care.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.
Good morning, everyone. It is 10 a.m. and my name is Madeline Archibong. I am the chair of the City Utilities Committee, and this is our August 11th, 2020 meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. And the first order of business would be to have our analyst, Jared Evans, conduct a roll call. I'll say at the beginning, we're pleased to be joined by Council President Moore on this call. Mr. Evans, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Boone.
Present.
Councilmember Hiller.
Here.
Councilmember Matskai.
Here.
Councilmember Shepard.
Present.
Councilmember Shook.
Aye.
Councilmember Winslow.
Present.
Madam Chair, all the committee members are present.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans, and I appreciate everyone on this call, and good morning to everyone. I do have a list of the speakers by department: Nikita Browning, Rob Bacaro, Christy Dickman, Susan Rutherford, Doug Ross, Carla Lipscomb, Natasha Dyer, and Shelby Busso, and assuming that they are all on the call and ready. At this point, Mr. Evans, I would ask that you read the remote meeting statement.
Thank you. This City Utilities Committee is being conducted remotely as advertised and in accordance with OCGA 50-14-1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert's Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting by dialing 1-877-579-6743, conference ID 831-599-1256, which was noted on the Friday, August 7th meeting notice. The public may also view the meeting on Channel 26, the Council's homepage at citycouncil.atlantagA.gov, the City Council's YouTube channel, or the Council's Facebook and Twitter pages via @ATL Council. All presentations are available on the Atlanta City Council City Utilities Committee presentation page. The agenda was published and made available Friday, August 7th via atlantacitygA.iqm2.com. In addition, the public was able to submit comments via voicemail at 404-330-6057 between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. the day before this meeting. These comments will be played during the public comment portion of this meeting. All persons present on the remote council meeting conference bridge are requested to mute your phone and speakers. Additionally, speakers must be acknowledged by the presiding officer prior to speaking. Each council member is requested to open your Outlook email and minimize the screen. Amendments, substitutes, and informational documents have been distributed to committee members beforehand. Thank you all in advance for your cooperation.
All right, thank you for that. With that, do you have any walk-in papers, Mr. Evans?
We do not.
All right.
No,
with that, thank you very much, colleagues. I will accept a motion to adopt the agenda.
Shook so moves. Second, Bill. Scott.
One moment. The vote is open. Shall we check if there are any voice voters today, Madam Chair?
Yeah, I'm a voice vote, Madam Chair.
And Andrea Boone. And Andrea Boone.
I apologize. Listen, did someone carry the vote because I got disconnected? Oh. So was that all in favor of adoption of the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, so please mark me as a yes as well. All right, thank you. That's what he adopted. Next is the approval of the. I'll make that motion. You second it, Mr. Shook? Thank you.
I do.
All right. Thank you. If there's no other discussion, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Winslow? Vote.
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
All right. Thank you, sir. And that is also a unanimous approval of the minutes. Next, we move to public comment. Mr. Evans, would you please play the.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Stacy Lowson. I am calling in regard to my public comment would be in support of looking at the procurement process for the City of Atlanta Tennis Center. We have been using the City of Atlanta Tennis Center here at Chastain for the past 4 years under the Universal Tennis Management for UTA Association, and not only have we participated in, my children have participated in their drills and private lessons, but we utilize the courts from time to time as a family as well. It is my understanding that there is looking at providing a new, going through the RFP process, awarding that management to another company. And I would just like to say from a public comment support that I hope that you would take into consideration the long-standing relationship that GTA has built here at the City of Atlanta in terms of the students and that they work with on a daily basis. And just to let you know that should you go in a different direction, I think we would, well, I don't think, we will follow the Universal Tennis Management Association over to the DeKalb County facilities, and we'll just do our lessons there and our drills there and play tennis there. And I hate that because we're right around the corner here at Chastain. And unless there's some really compelling, evidence that would show, that they were at gross neglect or aren't capable of heeding the demand, but I don't think that that's the case. From a personal experience, we've had nothing but positive experience there. Now, granted, I don't understand the financial side of things, so I understand the business needing to do that, but I would hope that you would give them the opportunity to negotiate on their contract. Just wanted to extend my support for UTA and keeping them as the management tennis company for the City of Atlanta. And if you have any questions or want to reach out to me, feel free to call me at 916-605-9944. We live on Tall Pines Drive. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Greetings to you, council members and staff, and special greetings to you, citizens of Atlanta, who tune in to care about what your elected officials are doing or not doing for you. And Howard, senior advocate, public policy analyst. My comments today are twofold regarding papers held in committee, 819-0-1726. Please take the necessary steps to establish that trust fund for franchise fee payments and for People TV. Please also take action to see that the 4 board slots allocated to the City Council and the 3 People TV board slots allocated to the mayor are filled by community-conscious, grassroots citizens who believe in public television. By your taking these actions, People TV can once again put eyes on Neighborhood Planning Unit R by revitalizing NPU on TV. That program, NPU on TV, can then show how citizen participation has been restricted and is being thwarted by the NPU on 9. Anthony Robinson, Wallace Clare, Ricardo Jacobs, Alfred White, Vanette L. Scott, Allison Hathaway, and the NPU R9 cohorts. I thank you.
My name is Erin O'Brien, and this is in regards to the removal of UTA as the operating group of the Chastain Tennis Center. We've been part of and utilizing the Chastain Tennis Center for the last 7+ years. My family and my children have been going to the tennis center over those years, and at every point in time we've been in contact with UTA, and that is the reason why we go to the Chastain Tennis Center. We actually belong to a club elsewhere. We choose to go to the Chastain Tennis Center because of UTA and its staff. It would be a detriment to the community and to that tennis center to remove that staff. The reason there is such a large group there and a large community and people actually utilizing the tennis center is due to the staff that runs it. They are wonderful at servicing the community and the people who are playing tennis, and without them, I don't think that you will have people utilizing the tennis center in the way that we have in the past. Our children take lessons there. We take lessons as adults. We play in tournaments. They have clinics. I have heard that another group potentially may take it over, Agape, I believe it's called, who runs one other tennis center. And I have heard many stories that they've been open during COVID and giving lessons when all the other tennis centers, and UTA being one of them, follow the rules of closing the tennis centers. So I think it'd be a disservice to the community to have someone take over for UTA, and the way that this matter has been handled has been very disruptive to the community. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Hi, my name is Crystal Maria, and I am a tennis player at the Chastain Courts now, and I'm calling just to voice my support for UTA, and I hope that you will not be getting rid of UTA, as they have been a huge part of my life and my family's life over the last 7 to 8 years. Thank you.
That concludes the comments.
All right, thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is G, presentation, updates, and reports, and this is the Department of Watershed Management quarterly report today. Ms. Browning. Is she on the line?
Double checking, but 1 second.
Or someone from that department to present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, committee members.
Yes, good morning.
Sorry about that. Trying to get off mute. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to update you on DWM's progress during the fourth quarter of FY20. Quarter proved to be a busy one for the department. As usual, I'll try to hit the highlights. If you can advance to slide number 2. This slide highlights the department's progress by the numbers for the period relating our core services and functions. Additional highlights are Utah Creek WRC was honored by the Georgia Association of Water Professionals. Winning awards include the Gold Award for Wastewater Facility, an excellence for Biosolids Residuals Program, and a Certificate of Achievement for Advanced Treatment of 10 MGD or greater. Similarly, our Hemp Hill Water Treatment Plant also was recognized by GAWP with winning 2 awards, the Gold Award for Drinking Water Facility and a Certificate of Achievement for Surface Water, 100 MGD and over. Advancing to the next 2 slides, detail DWM's mission critical functions for the department, and was also highlighted during the last quarter update. We have continuity of operations plans that were developed for each of the offices. Again, the key objective was to maintain continuity of operations to meet permit requirements and address emergency maintenance issues in the event of a shortage of essential staff due to the impacts of the pandemic. In the early stages of the pandemic, the focus was to sustain essential services and address emergency work. However, we are carefully transitioning to normal operations to address more maintenance-related functions and other business operations. To date, we've got about 540 telework employees and a little bit over 142 essential employees. We are continuing to work to maintain sufficient operational posture to deliver essential services. Advancing to slide 5, this details the status of GWM's pandemic response. To date, we've had 38 confirmed positive cases amongst our frontline workforce. A continued top priority is to ensure that we are equipping our workforce with the proper measures to maintain essential functions in a safe and protective environment. We are continuing to conduct daily non-invasive temperature screenings at all of our operational facilities. To date, we've completed over 38,000 screenings. We are continuing to procure necessary PPEs. And here's a correction to the slide. To date, we've spent over $675,000 on COVID-related supplies. We've also implemented staggered shifts at our OLIO Inglewood facility to limit the number of employees in the workspace. We're also reinforcing the importance of safe social distancing and wearing masks and face coverings by posting signage at all of our facilities. Advancing to slide 6. We've also issued additional fleet vehicles to limit the number of employees in work vehicles to further achieve safe social distancing. We've also ramped up cleaning and disinfection of our facilities. Daily touchpoint cleanings are conducted. Bi-weekly deep cleanings have been instituted at our OLIO Inglewood facility. We've also, our other DWM occupied facilities receiving monthly deep cleanings and disinfection services with intermediate fogging treatment. We've also initiated disinfection of fleet vehicles, and we'll be expanding this initiative to include all vehicles that are used by frontline workers. We're continuing to pay appreciation to our frontline workers by organizing occasional meals, posting appreciation signage at the entrance to our facilities, and we're just continuing to regularly communicate with staff to keep them abreast of the current mode of operations and solicit feedback. We want to ensure that their voices are heard. Advancing to slide 7, during this quarter we experienced a couple of notable emergencies, as you know. We experienced a 30-inch water main break that resulted in a boil water advisory being issued. The main break caused the Hemp Hill water treatment plant pumps to temporarily shut down, which resulted in widespread water outage. The water main was 130 years old and was constructed in 1892. You know, if you can see the picture that's in the upper right-hand corner. Our repairs are complete. We worked to decommission sections of the main to safeguard the potential for future breaches along that aging main. Post-event, we conducted a hot wash to assess our response and identify strengths and weaknesses in the areas of improvements related to the department's response. A key area that we would be looking to make improvements involves communications. We're working to identify smart tools to notify officials, citizens, and agencies served, hospitals, and other vulnerable businesses in a more timely manner. We will also be working with ATL 311 to explore additional staffing resources for weekends. Another notable event involved a significant rain event that resulted in flood conditions on June 30th. Several areas of the city received in excess of 2 inches of rainfall in a fairly short period of time, which overwhelmed the combined system and resulted in flash flooding. Post-event inspections and cleanup were implemented immediately following the event for several locations that experienced flood conditions. And we're continuing to monitor several locations that are prone to flooding and ensure that necessary preventive maintenance is performed for storm assets prior to events going forward. We're currently working to ready for procurement the Connolly Vault project, which is critical to help in addressing overflows and flooding within the Peoplestown area. And we're also completing engineering analysis and modeling to evaluate for other areas. So we've received notice of stormwater issues and are working to determine the necessary measures to address localized flood conditions. Advancing to slide number 9. This provides the latest and greatest personnel totals. Between April to June, we had a total 1,647 active authorized positions. 1,440 were filled and 207 are vacant. Under FY21, we initiated a cleanup which resulted in 132 vacancy position abolishments, as well as a temporary pause on onboarding. We since started to fully resume onboarding of mission-critical positions. 29% of those vacancies reside with our Office of Linear Infrastructure. And we are continuing efforts to recruit talent for mission-critical positions. Slides 10 through 12 provide DW final FY20 financials. We completed the fiscal year within the target budget. Operationally, we expended about 90.5% of our allocated budget for personnel and 74.6% of allocated budget for non-personnel expenditures. As of the close of June, our actual revenues were roughly 3% higher than projected, and expenses overall under. As you know, the most referendum passed with approval. Anticipated FY20 revenues were at $130 million. Pre-COVID, our projections were $161 million. And post-COVID projection, we lowered it to $143 million. We fared a bit better than projected. The actual revenues came in at $148 million, but a little bit lower than the pre-COVID projections. Advancing to slide 14, this gives an update on our FORAtlanta Metrics. Overall, we're making some improvements in areas regarding our drinking water compliance and wastewater compliance. Also making some improvements with sewer spills per 100 miles, as well as main breaks. Advancing to slide 15, provides an update regarding water service restorations for the period. As you know, we have a current moratorium on water disconnection. Services have been restored within 1 to 2 days for the turn-ons, and we're closely tracking delinquent accounts. Advancing to slides 16 and 17, it provides an update regarding our small and large meter installations. We're continuing to meet our SLAs. Again, we had a minor lull was experienced at the onset of the pandemic for about 6 weeks, where we didn't receive any new applications. However, we're seeing a gradual increase, but still down compared to pre-COVID conditions. Advancing to slide 18, that provides an update regarding OLIO service requests for the period in question. Compared to the previous quarter, we see more requests were received by distribution versus collection. We've got a 91% resolution rate for collection and 88% resolution rate for distribution. Both groups made good improvements in resolutions from the previous reporting period. Advancing to slide 20. To summarize our NPDES permit compliance, we sustained 21 violations for a reporting period, an increase from the previous period. There were mainly deficiencies at our South River WRC, which were due to damaged control systems as a result of power surges, which damaged the systems. We since implemented corrective measures. Repairs are in progress to mitigate the potential for violations. Advancing to slide 21, this summarizes our sanitary sewer spills for the period. We had a total of 57 for the period. Spills are continuing to trend downward from previous quarters. We're definitely seeing a reduction in the number of major spills. We're continuing to see more days of rainfall reported at greater than a quarter inch. Advancing to slides 22 through 31, these provide updates regarding various notable CIP projects that are underway. There's a slide that's included that gives priorities concerning our program management services team, notably the water supply program. To date, there's a storage volume of 1.5 billion gallons currently stored in the quarry. There's updates concerning our energy savings measures projects, the Noresco and Schneider project. as well as the Cook Park capacity release ponds. Most notably, we also completed our Superior Group's Reef Consent Decree milestone during this past quarter, and so we were compliant with that milestone. They're looking to continue efforts towards our SG4 work. And that completes the presentation. Subject to your questions, I sincerely thank you for your time and attention this morning, as always.
All right, thank you for walking us through this report. Let me see if I have any speakers signed up. Let's see. One member is, and who is that one member? Can you see who that is, Mr. Evans?
I don't have access to the screen.
Ms. Shepard, Ms. Shepard, I'm sorry, Ms. Evans. This is Ms. Shepard. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Browning, I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit this morning, but we've been having a problem with dumping in the creek over at Perkinson Park, and
Yes,
it's coming through the streams, and I haven't been able to get a complete report on, have you all determined, trace where they're dumping in the creek? I know it could be upstream somewhere in the catch basin. Have you all made a determination as where that's coming from?
Good morning, Tim Shepard. Yes, we've had staff investigate that matter over the past couple of weeks. We thought that it was a nearby industrial facility that we thought could have been dumping. We're continuing to do in-stream sampling to try to pinpoint the culprit. And I actually spoke to Ms. Jackson from your office on yesterday, and she gave me a little bit more intel regarding some food trucks that may be parked within the Sylvan Road area. So we're certainly going to look into that and see if they may possibly be the culprit. It looks like it's food-related grease, oil that's being discharged or dumped into the creek. So based on the information I received from Ms. Jackson, I've passed that information along to our stream sampling and water quality team for them to investigate it a little bit further. But we're definitely going to look to try to figure out what the source is.
So let me ask you as a follow-up to what you referenced just now, the food trucks. Is that purview of looking at food trucks and grease traps? Is that under the purview of you all? How is that permitted? Do you have any idea?
I know that we permit grease traps. I'm not sure how the food trucks are permitted. I'll have to look into that and get you an answer, Chairman Archibald.
Shepard. Shepard, that was Shepard.
Sorry.
Okay.
Shepard. Yeah.
Well, I'll follow up on that because it has been reported to us several times in my office. And what's happening is going through the creek that goes to Perkinson Park, and that's how the residents are reporting it because they're seeing all this grease and stuff in the water at Perkinson Park. And so we really need to just stay on top of that.
We absolutely are. And I think initially it was reported as a fish kill, but we're...
the fish are dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's where we were alerted to that initially, and we've notified EPD regarding the matter. And again, we're going to continue to monitor and try to narrow down and determine what the source and make sure that we employ the necessary enforcement once we determine the source.
Okay, thank you. I'll get back with you on that.
Okay, anyone else? Let me see. All right, well, Ms. Browning, thank you for that report. I don't see any others. I do see Mr. Ellis. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairwoman Archibald. Thank you for the presentation. Mr. Browning, just had a few questions. Where are we with decision on the Hemp Hill Dam?
So we are going to look towards the repairs to the dam. I need to get an update from our engineering team on where we are as far as funding the dams. We are continuing to monitor it monthly to ensure that there's no seepage from it. But
but I can definitely get you an update on where we are. I think right now we're going to look to employ the repairs to the dam.
Okay. If you get a thorough update on that and just send it over to me, I'd appreciate it.
Have you heard of any other issues from Traybird? We've been monitoring that area pretty closely.
No, I've not heard of anything that's come through my office. We're just asking because I don't think we've had an update since the pre-COVID time. So I just wanted to see where we are with that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. The next question is, so as I'm sure you know, many issues in the city when people think it's watershed, and then sometimes they determine that it's a private property matter. For example, storm drain, that's a private storm drain, runs through private property, but then it causes issues on either other public or other private properties, or it causes issues on public property or roadways. And so when that occurs, does DWM have a process, much like a nuisance abatement or something like that, where they would go after that property owner to force them to make those needed repairs so it isn't affecting other private properties or public properties or roadways?
Yes, we do have a process in place. We'll typically, obviously look to determine if the infrastructure is public or private. If it seems to be private, we try to make contact with the owners to notify them of the situation, and just kind of stepping through, the process for, identifying what needs to be repaired, what the issues are, and how they're contributing to other issues with their neighbors. And continue to monitor the situation. We stop short of enforcement, but we certainly try to nudge it along so that it doesn't become a nuisance for others. And obviously, any measures that we can employ to try to help the situation, we will do. But we just try to make contact with the owners and make them aware of the situation and the urgency, and try to push along progress so that the issues are addressed.
Okay, well, there's an issue in my district that's fresh on my mind. That's caused some flooding, and I'll email you the details. But just in summary, it's off of South Grand, just south of Donnelly Hollowell, and it was determined that there was a private property line that was stopped up, and it's basically created a pond, and it's caused flooding over South Grand a few times.
Okay. If you can send that to me, we'll definitely look into it. We'll definitely try to make contact with the owner. And again, if there's anything that we can employ to try to mitigate any kind of blockages, for maintenance function, we will do that.
Gotcha, and I'll send that over to you. Last question, and this has been an ongoing issue for, I would say probably years. The landscaping maintenance at RM Clayton is not really up to par with what I see at other places like Kemp Hill. And even at RM Clayton, for some reason, the Moore's Mill side seems to have fairly good landscaping maintenance. But then when you go on the other side of the plant, towards Bolton Road, Merida Road area, there's still a lot of overgrowth up the fence and all that. So if we could just, is that maintenance done by Watershed or by a contractor?
Yes, the maintenance is done by Watershed, and thank you for bringing that to my attention. We'll make sure that gets rectified and that the landscaping associated with the facility is improved and on a more frequent basis.
Much appreciated. Thanks so much. And that's all my questions. Chairwoman Archibald, thank you.
No, thank you. I just had a couple, and you don't necessarily have to, Commissioner Browning, respond now, but with the 38 confirmed cases, I'm interested in what protocols are followed for those staff and any other staff that may be impacted. I'm thinking about
do they have to have leave? If they don't have leave, or is their pay deducted? Are medical expenses covered that are not covered by insurance? Are we doing contract tracing? Those kinds of things are a concern for me.
Absolutely. I can definitely speak with you about what the protocol is and what we're doing to ensure that staff have the appropriate time and leave to recover in the case that they are confirmed positive. And we obviously engage HR to make sure that they're providing the right feedback on medical attention and documentation, etc. So yes, we do have a protocol in place.
I think I'd like to have you send me that in writing and send it out to us. The committee members might be just interesting and
Absolutely.
helpful to see. And then the other thing, and kind of a companion concern, is how do you assure compliance with mask wearing for those essential employees that are out in the field?
So, we are really safety first for us always. And in the middle of this pandemic, it's even more important for us to ensure that we're providing a clean and safe work environment for our frontline workers. And so, as I stated, we're equipping them with all of the necessary PPEs in the form of masks, gloves, high-vis suits, everything they need to safely perform their job duties. We're strongly encouraging staff to wear masks. The signages that we're posting throughout facilities are furthering that message of the importance that we can slow the spread. It's a buddy system for folks to, as they're working with each other, to encourage each other to want to work safely, wear their masks, and perform their job duties in a safe manner. So we're strongly encouraging staff to comply and work together to slow the spread.
Okay, great, thanks. That buddy system sounds like that might be really helpful, because you can't see everything and be everywhere. But and I'm hopeful that employees will be mindful of their own safety and the safety of others. So thank you for that. And then finally, I do appreciate that you mentioned the effort that you're going to make to have different, better, speedier connection with not only colleagues but the public relative to emergencies that do crop up. And so we had an offline conversation about some of the concerns that I saw. And I do know with the boil water advisory, there's always this ambiguity around, is it over? Was it really my street? Is it just the next street? And so the work in this area is really important to assure our public that we are keeping them as safe as possible. So I look forward to understanding what that new emergency response protocol will be. Do you have any idea when you will have that mapped out or finished?
So we're working on the updates to our communications, and I will be prepared to provide an update to committee at our next quarterly. I can definitely share some of the measures we're putting in place to better our communications and be more proactive, and even the development of the maps that shows the impacted areas. Again, notifications to our other jurisdictional partners that we provide services to. Just all around, we want to make sure that we just make some exaggerated improvements in communication and making sure that we're keeping all our public officials, everyone abreast of the status of the situations that come about, and also keeping our citizens aware and abreast of the work that we're doing in those matters, just in a more proactive fashion.
Okay, that sounds, and you know how much time you need. I would encourage you to let the elected officials see the part of that communication plan that affects them, to see if there are any tweaks or observations that might inform doing it differently or better. So waiting until the quarterly meeting might be too long. So anyway, all right, thank you. Colleagues, last call. Anyone else? No, thank you. Any questions? All right, thanks so much. Mr. Evans, we'll go to the next section of the agenda.
Thank you. Ordinance is for first reading. Item number 1, 20-01537. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into Amendment number 9 for FC 5035A, annual contract for the disposal of municipal solid waste with Georgia Waste Systems, Inc., DBA Waste Management of Atlanta, on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management and the Department of Public Works to add funding in an amount not to exceed $1,713,092.00 to extend the term of the agreement for a period not to exceed 4 months effective September 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, in accordance with Section 2-1163, Article 10 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account numbers listed and for other purposes. Item number 2, 20-01538, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to correct ordinance number 20-0-1431 to amend the source of funding for the amendment number 3 for FC 9215 annual contract for dewatering, hauling, and disposal services with Denali Q joint venture on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management and for other purposes. Item number 3, 20-01539, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into amendment number 3 for FC 9187 annual contract for green infrastructure and landscape services with Ed Castro Landscape, Inc., to add funding for additional landscaping services on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $810,000.00 to extend the term of the agreement on a month-to-month basis for a period not to exceed 9 months effective September 17, 2020, and to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to pay outstanding invoices in the amount of $175,000.00 in accordance with Section 2-1163, solicitations or awards in violation of law, subsection C, remedies after award, Article 10 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances. All contracted work and invoices will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account numbers listed and for other purposes. Item number 4, 20-01540. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to apply for and accept a grant from the United States Environmental Protection Agency on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $300,000.00 to initiate the conceptual design for a regional waste management facility and authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute any required agreements and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. By virtue of having the first read into the record, they are hereby accepted. Now moving on to Section I, the regular section of the agenda, ordinances for second reading. Mr. Evans.
Item number 5, 20-01497, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into renewal number 1 for FC 9838 Program Management Services with Stantec SGJV for Program Management Services in an amount not to exceed $10 million.00, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to pay invoices to Stantec SGJV for Program Management Services in an amount not to exceed $1,500,000.00 in accordance with Section 2-1163 of Article 10 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, correcting the term of the agreement, all contracted work and invoices to be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organizations and account numbers listed and for other purposes. There's an amendment in your packet.
All right. Can you read that amendment, please, as we consider amending this ordinance?
The prepared amendment will increase the amount not to be exceeded by $1.5 million to a total of $11.5 million. It also adds the titles of the code section 2-1163 in various places throughout the paper.
Are there any questions about that amendment? Any motions to amend the paper accordingly?
Shook moves approval.
Second, Hill.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded that this amendment be approved. No other discussion. We are ready to vote.
The vote is open.
Let's see. Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
Thank you. That's unanimous. The paper is now adopted and is before us. Are there any questions for Ms. Browning?
Shook with a question.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, one of the expected benefits from hiring a high-powered engineering outfit such as this is the expected savings in terms of value engineering they provide. And so I'm going to move approval as amended, but also please provide me with the value engineering achievements and improvements they've come up with during this contract term, if you would.
Consider it done, Councilmember Shook.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? And I would recommend that. Thank you very much. I'd recommend, Commissioner Browning, that we share that with everyone, please. And good point, Mr. Shook.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. It's been properly moved and seconded that this paper be approved as amended. If there are no other questions, we are ready to vote.
One moment. The vote is open.
Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Has everyone voted?
Yes, the vote is closed. It's unanimous.
All right, thank you. That ordinance is approved as amended. I see a text message that Commissioner Browning wanted to speak. Has she already spoken, or is there something else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Now, I have a note that item 27 is related, and so we should take that next. Is that correct, Mr. Evans?
That is correct. That's what I've been told.
Okay, and it's under health, so that's item number 27. Without objection from the committee, I will take that paper out of order, please, number 27.
Okay, item number 27, 20-01460, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2021 water and wastewater renewal and extension budget in the amount of $11,500,000.00 transfer funds from the Watershed Reserve for appropriations and add funds to the Program Management Services Team Project and for other purposes. There's an amendment in your packet for this item as well.
Yes.
This amendment adds $1.5 million to the budget transfer, and it is related to the previous item.
Shook moves approval of the amendment.
Second, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you. Been moved and seconded that this amendment be added. If there's no other discussion, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
All right, thank you. And is the vote closed now?
Yes, it is.
All right, this is unanimous. The paper as amended is now before us.
Shook moves approval as amended.
Thank you.
Second, Master.
Thank you. There's no other discussion. We're ready to vote to approve as amended.
The vote is open.
Thank you. Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. That is unanimous. That has been approved as amended. Thank you. Now going back to our next paper, Mr. Evans.
Item number 6, 20-01498, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to amend the Atlanta City Code Part 2 General Ordinances, Chapter 74, Environment, Article 10, Post-Development Stormwater Management, to implement new regulatory requirements, to improve and clarify processes, to update references, definitions, and make other drafting amendments, and for other purposes.
Thank you very much. I understand we've had a request from the Department of Watershed Management to hold this paper. So, unless there's some questions, I'll entertain a motion to hold this paper.
Well, Chip so moves, but I'd like to put a couple requests out there rather than waiting. If they, and forgive me if one's already been distributed, but I think that when this came up as a first read, the department was asked to send a red line, and I don't know if one was sent or not. And then I also seem to believe that this is kind of in two parts. There's a part where the agency in question developed, new standards, and then in addition to that, there's some content that our own staff devised. And so if we could just see a simple, two lists that break that out, I think it would be very helpful. Thank you. Move.
Okay. All right. Anyone to second that?
Winslow, second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded, and I know the department has taken note of Mr. Shook's comments and requests. So, Ms. Browning, can you respond to Mr. Shook, please? Or someone from your team? Is she on mute? Ms. Browning?
Yes.
Yes. Did you hear Mr. Shook's comment?
Yes, absolutely. Councilor Shook, we will absolutely get that information to you. Mr. Evans, I think we transmitted the red lines a couple of weeks ago, but we can definitely send that again, and the
correct.
additional.
I can re-forward everything to committee members.
Yeah. Please do.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you. If there are no other questions, the motion before us is to hold. You can please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ms. Winslow was a second. So is the vote closed?
The vote is closed.
All right, thank you. That was unanimous. This legislation will be held. Next item, please.
Madam Chair, can I read in number 7 and number 17 and take them as a block? Would the committee like to do that?
Without objection from the committee, please do.
Number 7, 20-01499, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2021 Water and Wastewater Renewal and Extension Fund budget in the amount of $15 million to transfer funds from the Watershed Reserve for appropriations and add funds to the Capital Improvement Architectural and Engineering Services Project and for other purposes. Item number 17, 20-R4191, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to add funding to a joint task order fund in an amount not to exceed $15 million and 0 cents for use under 4 architectural engineering design services contracts and authorizing the Commissioner of the Department of Watershed Management or her designee to issue task orders under contract numbers FC 7383A, Arcadis BPA Joint Venture, a joint venture of Arcadis, G&M Inc., and Brindley Peters Associates. Number 2, FC 7383B, Atlanta Services Group 3, a joint venture of Jacobs Project Management Company, SL King and Associates Inc., and Engineering Design Technologies Inc. Number 3, FC 7383C, BGR2 JV, a joint venture of Black and Bates Corporation, Gresham Smith and Partners, and River to Tap. Number 4, FC 7383F, EV Benchmark JV, a joint venture of Parsons Brinkerhoff Inc. and Benchmark Management LLC to provide professional architectural engineering and design services for the Department of Watershed Management on a task order basis for capital improvement plan projects, with all services to be charged to and paid from the project and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. The last page of your committee packet is going to have a project list.
All right, Mr. Bacaro, are you online? And thank you very much for that, Mr. Evans.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Council members. This is Rob Bacaro, Department of Watershed Management. The purpose of this legislation is to request additional funding to the Joint Task Order Fund that's been in place since 2016 for architectural engineering and design services on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $15 million. The department has identified projects in the 2021 capital improvement program that need funding to continue providing a broad range of services and that meet the requirements and align with the strategies and objectives described in the department's 2022 strategic plan. The list of the potential task orders has already been provided to Council. The department acknowledges Council's support for approving previous similar legislation. This has made an enormous difference and allowed the department to deliver over $1 billion in capital projects since 2015. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks.
All right. Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Bacaro on either paper? I don't see any speakers. Thank you. You need a second? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. If there are no further questions, the motion is to approve both legislative items. The vote is now open. Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you very much.
The vote is closed.
Thank you. That is unanimous. Both legislative items are approved. Next item, please.
Item number 8, 20-1500, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to pay outstanding invoices to Newton Simon Advertising, Inc. for media education on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in accordance with Section 2-1163 of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, in an amount not to exceed $12,585.56. All invoices to be charged to and paid from the fund department and organization and account numbers listed and for other purposes. There is a substitute in your packet.
All right, I entertain a motion to bring that substitute forward.
So moved, sure.
Second, Hill.
All right, if there's no unreadiness, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Thank you. Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
Thank you. That is unanimous. Now, does the substitute, is the caption different? I'm trying to read it right quick.
The caption is slightly different, and I would like to read that.
Please.
A substitute ordinance by City Utilities Committee, an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to pay outstanding invoices to Newton Simon Advertising, Inc. for media advertising for education campaign on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in accordance with Section 2-1187, Methods of Source Selection, Article 10 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta, Code of Ordinances, in an amount not to exceed $12,585.56. All invoices to be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account numbers listed and for other purposes.
All right. I understand Ms. Bickman is on the line, and this involves expenses related to advertising or education related to the most. Is that correct, Ms. Bickman?
Good morning. Yes, it does.
Okay, Shook moves approval as substituted. I do have an incidental question. Could you or someone provide me with the total cost that the city paid into the media campaign? Thank you.
Yes. The total cost, including these invoices, is $29,601.81.
Wow. That's an extraordinarily massive bang for the buck, I must say.
Okay, so is that fine for you, Mr. Shook? You don't need to have that in writing. That was fine.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, great. So he made the motion. Need a second?
Second, Matt McKay.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. On substitute, if there's no unreadiness, let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Thank you. Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
Thank you. That stands unanimous. That legislation is approved on substitute. Next item, please.
Item number 9. 20R4183, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into Amendment Number 1 with Ceres Environmental Services, Inc. for FC 8392A, emergency on-call services for debris removal as needed on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation in an amount not to exceed $250,000.00. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed and for other purposes.
So we have a substitute in the packet, but there's a request that we could take 9 and 10 together. So I'm thinking we should substitute 9 and then move on to 10. So entertain a motion to bring forth a substitute for number 9.
So moved, Shook. Second, McKay.
Thank you both very much. If there's no unreadiness, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. How do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
All right. That's unanimous. The substitute is before us. Let's read that substitute, please.
A substitute resolution by City Utilities Committee, a resolution authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into Amendment Number 1 to Ceres Environmental Services, Inc. for FC 8392A, emergency on-call services for debris removal as needed on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation in an amount not to exceed $250,000.00. To add the Department of Parks and Recreation to the Atlanta Department of Transportation as a authorized user for services, all contracted work shall be charged to and paid from accounts listed and for other purposes.
All right, let's take number 10 so we can take it as a block, please. And there's also a substitute for 10. Go ahead.
That's 20R4181, number 10, a resolution by City Utilities Committee.
I think that's 84. I'm sorry, but that's 4184.
Oh, excuse me. 4184, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into Amendment Number 1 to FC 8392C for emergency on-call services for debris removal as needed with Ashbrit, Inc. on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation in an amount not to exceed $250,000.00. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from account numbers listed and for other purposes. The substitute in this package also adds the Department of Transportation as an authorized user. Shook moves.
We need a motion to bring the. Thank you. Need a second?
Second, Matskai.
Thank you both very much. If there's no unreadiness, please open the vote on bringing the substitute forward.
The vote is open.
Thank you. Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
Thank you very much. That's unanimous. The substitute is before us for both 9 and 10, and the substitute, to your point, don't need to necessarily read it. The caption is changed a bit. Do you want to read the caption, Mr. Evans, just to have it in the record?
Sure. A substitute resolution by City Utilities Committee, a resolution authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into Amendment Number 1 to FC 8392 for emergency on-call services for debris removal as needed with Ashbridge, Inc. on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation in an amount not to exceed $250,000. To add that Department of Parks and Recreation and the Atlanta Department of Transportation as authorized users for services, all contracted work shall be charged to and paid from accounts listed and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Boss, I understand you're on the line.
I am. Good morning, Chairwoman Archibong and members of council. This is Doug Voss, Director of Parks. As Mr. Evans noted, this resolution 1483 and 84 amends the emergency on-call debris removal services for both the Department of Parks and Recreation and the Department of Transportation. This is currently a DPW contract. The city has utilized this contract successfully several times in the past to supplement in-house resources during periods of increased tree fall or storm events. Happy to answer any questions you might have regarding either of these resolutions.
Shook moves both as substituted.
Thank you. Need a second?
Second, Matskai.
Thank you both very much. And thank you, Mr. Voss. If there are no questions, we are ready to vote.
The vote is open.
Thank you very much. Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you very much.
The vote is closed.
All right, thank you. Both resolutions are approved. Thank you very much. Moving to item 11, please.
20R 4185. A resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to enter into Amendment Number 1 for SPC 1200488 Landfill Slope Mowing and Clearing Services Agreement with Genesis Testing Services, Inc. to add Department of Aviation as an authorized user to receive specialized services of slope mowing and clearing services to meet specific Federal Aviation Administration requirements regarding wildlife control at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, to amend the scope of services to include slope mowing of heavy brush and saplings, vegetative and land debris removal, clearing or herbicidal spray, fence line clearing and sediment removal from culverts and ponds as required by the Georgia Environmental Protection Division and FAA at the 4 landfills currently maintained by the City of Atlanta and the airport, to add additional funding in an amount not to exceed $487,323.00. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the fund department, organization, and account numbers listed and for other purposes.
We have someone ready to speak. Let's see if I can see who that is. Ms. Shepherd.
I just have a question in terms of our landfills. How long, how many do we have, and how long are before we are finished? I know it's a 30-year, but how many landfills are we working on? In terms of
this is Carla Lipscomb, Public Works Manager, Senior Department of Public Works.
We currently are responsible for and own 4 closed landfills. And as you mentioned, there's a term of 30 years right now. The EPD requires us to maintain those landfills. And since they closed in 2020, we're still looking at a minimum of 10 years.
Okay. They closed when? You said they closed in when? You said 2020. I'm sorry.
2000. My apologies.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else with questions? I wanted to. Okay. We need a second.
Second, Masticate.
All right. So it's been properly moved and seconded. Papers before us to approve this. Ms. Lipscomb, do you know if the original procurement was for less than $60,000 or?
It was less than 50,000. Unfortunately, it was processed with only one cut, which was approximately $18,000.
What I don't understand, and I meant to ask this earlier, is how we go from that amount to now almost $500,000 without there needing to be an opportunity to see if we needed to put this out to bid again. What is the capacity of this company to do the increased scope? What analysis or considerations were given to all of that?
This company, Genesis, has been mowing and clearing the landfills for over 5 years, and I believe they have been doing the work at the airport for the same amount of time. Unfortunately, when we attempted to put this out for bid, there was an issue as to which department in procurement would handle it, and therefore the past contract expired. We decided to move forward with the special. So they are very capable of completing this work.
Well, I just have some questions about the process, so I'm going to abstain, but if everybody else is ready to vote, we can vote. But I see Ms. Shepherd is next to speak.
I can wait until after the vote, but I do have a question in reference to landfill after the vote. Thank you.
And we do have another landfill paper coming up, too, that Ms. Lipson will be speaking to. So there's been a move to approve, and it's been seconded. If there's no unreadiness, we can open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Bone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
All right. There's 6 yeas and 1 abstention. That is approved. Please read our next item, and then Ms. Shepherd, we can take your question after that.
Thank you.
Item number 12, 20R4186, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to issue task order number 138 to Arcadis, Brindley, Peters & Associates, Inc., a joint venture for FC 7383A Architectural Engineering and Design Services for post-closure and landfill maintenance of city-owned landfills on behalf of the Department of Public Works in an amount not to exceed $917,500.00, with all contracted work to be charged to and paid from fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Shepherd, did you want to speak first, or did you want to hear from Ms. Lipson? Talk to us about this paper first.
This is nothing about this paper, but go ahead. No, who can go ahead with the paper?
Oh, okay. Ms. Lipson?
Yes, ma'am. This legislation is to add additional funding to allow for post-closure care for the city's 4 landfills, and that would carry us throughout the term of this contract. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, the line was muted. I was asking Ms. Shepherd if she wanted to ask her question or if she's fine.
No, I mean, again, this is not about this paper, Ms. Archibong. It's about a
I see. Okay.
Waste management and period. So just finish that one, and then I can come back and ask my question. Thank you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, not about this particular one. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Hillis.
Second, Boone.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. If there's no unreadiness, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Okay.
The vote is closed.
All right, thank you. That is unanimous. That item has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item. You're welcome.
Ms. Archibong, now I'd like to ask the question before we move away from waste management.
Go ahead.
I think this is all part of first read, so it'll come back to us next time around. But I do see up under first read, number 4, it talks about we're doing $300,000 to initiate the conceptual design for a regional waste management facility. So I really want to understand what that means. As we talk about, I know right now we have transfer stations and all of this, and our, where our landfills are, and I do want to understand EPD is putting this forward and this is a requirement. I just need to, as we get ready for this coming back the next time, I would like more details on this, much more in-depth details on what that means. That's all the question I have.
So, Ms. Lipscomb? Would you be able to provide that information?
I'm not sure I fully understood the question. If you look at our first read, and I won't go back, but up under our first read, item number 4, the last one up on the first read is an ordinance 20-0-1540 that says apply for and accept grant from the United States Environmental Protection Agency on behalf of the Department of, is that watershed or is that public works? But it's a grant.
I think it's watershed.
Okay, so it's not landfill. I thought it was landfill. I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood. My bad. My mistake. I apologize. All right.
No problem. All right. It's all between friends. No problem. Okay. Very, very good. Next item, please, Mr. Evans.
Would the committee like to take items number 13 and 14 together?
Go ahead and read 13, and then we'll go to 14 without exception.
Item number 13, 20R4187, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding and contract item agreement with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management, relocate and or adjust water valve boxes, water meters and boxes, manholes, water mains, fire hydrants, and other related facilities in conjunction with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation project number listed, State Route 138 from CS 5100 Buffington Road to State Route 279 Old National Highway in Fulton County, at an amount not to exceed $83,916.00. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account number listed and for other purposes.
All right. Next.
Item number 14, 20R4188, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding and contract item agreement with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to relocate and or adjust water valve boxes, water meters, sandboxes, manholes, water mains, fire hydrants, and other related facilities in conjunction with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation project number listed, State Route 42, US 23 from 0.03 miles south of Key Road to 0.08 miles north of Wade Street in Fulton and DeKalb counties, at an amount not to exceed $702,800 $20.80. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account number listed and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. Let's see, on item 14, is this Mr. Vaccaro speaking to both of these, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, it's Rob Vaccaro, Department of Watershed.
Thank you. Tell us about these papers, please.
Yeah, well, this legislation is to fund two projects we're collaborating on with GDOT. Firstly, the legislation under 20R4187 is to fund the $83,916 project. GDOT is sponsoring a street milling and resurfacing project in Fulton County along State Route 138 from Buffington Road to Old National Highway. Watershed Management has 35 water valves that conflict with GDOT's project. So the scope of work from the department's point of view involves lowering water valves prior to milling, uncovering, and raising to grade the utilities after the resurfacing is complete. So this project's located to the southwest of Atlanta in the city of South Fulton. There is a map included with the legislation. The second legislation, the 20R4188, is to fund a bigger project, the $702,820.80 project. It's also a street milling and resurfacing projects in Fulton and DeKalb counties along Moreland Avenue from just south of Key Road to just north of Wade Street. So it's right on the eastern boundary between the city and Fulton. So Watershed has 145 water valves and 58 sanitary sewer manholes that are conflicting with the project. So again, the work is similar to the other project in that we'll be lowering water valves and sewer manholes prior to milling and covering and raising utilities to grade after resurfacing is complete. So there's also a map of the second project in the legislative package. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you. Need a second. All right. Are there any questions or any unreadiness? I've just gotten bumped off. Okay. If not, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Okay. I am offline, so I'm a yes. And the question is for Ms. Boone, how do you vote? Ms. Boone? Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Is it Ms. Boone, last call? All right, is the vote closed?
One moment.
All right.
Vote closed. It is 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Great. Okay. That item stands approved. Next item, please.
Item number 15.
That was for two items. Is that correct?
With the vote was for item number 13 and 14.
Thank you, because I'm knocked off the system. Please go forward.
Item number 15, 20R4189, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into amendment number 2 for FC 10244A, annual contract for stormwater upgrade and repair services with Southeastern Site Development, Inc., Lewis Contracting Services, LLC, JV, to add funding for additional upgrade and repair services on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $5 million and 0 cents. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account number listed and for other purposes.
And now we're going to take 16 with 15.
Okay. Item number 16, 20R4190, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into Amendment Number 2 for FC 10244B annual contract for stormwater upgrade and repair services with Kinley Construction Company, Inc., Integrated Construction Management, Inc., JV, to add funding for additional upgrade and repair services on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $5 million and 0 cents. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account numbers listed and for other purposes.
Ms. Rutherford, why don't you talk to us about these papers, please?
I'm happy to. Hi, this is Susan Rutherford with the Department of Watershed Management. The purpose of these two ordinances is to request $5 million each to our 2 annual contracts for stormwater construction services. The city receives over 1,300 calls each year through ATL 311 for issues related to stormwater infrastructure, and these 2 contracts are critical to help us address those complaints, and they do that through cleaning and assessment, repair, and restoration, and it's citywide. In addition, we are also conducting a citywide inventory of our stormwater assets through this contract, through these contracts. I also wanted to briefly point out that these contracts are 100% funded from the municipal option sales tax.
Good.
Which has been really a game changer for the Department of Watershed Management's ability to address some of these stormwater issues.
Great. And is that at 10% of the most?
10% of the revenue. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Excellent. Any questions for Ms. Rutherford? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Shook moves both.
Thank you. I heard Hillis Mazakite. Let's pick one as a second. All right, let's open the vote, please.
The vote is open.
Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Winslow, thank you. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed.
All right, thank you. Both papers are approved unanimously. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Rutherford. Next item, are we at number 18?
That is correct.
All right, yes, sir.
Item number 18, 20R4192, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Atlanta to accept the donation of technical services from the Natural Resources Defense Council through December 2021, not to exceed an approximate value of $59,000 for the purpose of increasing food waste diversion from landfills through recovery of food surpluses to feed people and by increased diversion of inedible food scraps to create compost, and to enter into any required agreements for accepting the donation and for other purposes.
All right. I understand we have Natasha Dyer and Shelby Busso available.
Approval.
Thank you.
Second, Boone.
Thank you. So moved in second. I'd like to hear a little bit about it. Thank you.
Sure. This is Shelby Busso. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer in the Mayor's Office of Resilience. Good morning, Chairwoman Archibong and other council members. Food Matters Atlanta is a food waste diversion program created in 2019 by our office. The purpose is to recover edible, nutritious food from commercial businesses primarily. So we're looking at restaurants, grocery stores, hotel chains primarily. And we will try to share the recovered food with Atlanta's food insecure populations. In June of 2020, the office was awarded a donation of technical services from the Natural Resources Defense Council with the intent of increasing citywide food waste diversion from landfill programming to include this food recovery and support for more decentralized composting infrastructure if possible. So we have 3 overarching goals that we hope to achieve in this program. We hope to conduct a food waste audit of our government food service operations and also possibly provide some technical assistance for food businesses and institutions to conduct their own food waste audit. We, again, plan to organize and promote a food waste challenge to engage businesses in the city of Atlanta, and we hope also to expand community compost. So these goals will be further refined with this partnership with NRDC, and they'll supplement our team with added expertise over the next 18 months or so. So the value of these services, as stated, is provided not to exceed $59,000, and our team will provide the staff team that we've already committed to the food waste recovery work in the city of Atlanta. So we respectfully request approval of this resolution. Thanks.
Yes, and this sounds like an exciting initiative. What is the centralized composting infrastructure? What does that look like?
So we actually are looking at a decentralized composting infrastructure. So what we would do to educate the commercial facilities that are in the city that have extra food, either recoverable or non-recoverable, and encourage them to, we would actually just provide some resources to help educate them on what is available currently, and then start mapping that out. I can defer to Natasha, my team member here, who's the Senior Recycling Program Coordinator, to talk through how some of that education looked in our last round in 2019, if that's helpful.
I wonder what decentralized composting meant. Does that mean that you don't want it at the individual site, that you want it, I don't know what that word means.
So, I mean, sure. Right. Go ahead, Natasha.
Sure. In our office, we also sit on the Atlanta Community-Based Composting Council, and its initiatives or goals are to actually just create more decentralized composting within neighborhoods and at our community farms that is supported by our Urban Ag initiative. So it'd be trying to create more composting in neighborhoods and at our local farms for our food access programs.
Would citizens be able to bring items to those places? Individual homeowners, residents?
Exactly. The goal is to try to create more drop-off sites and potential for residents through working with this compost council.
Okay, well, it sounds interesting. I would love for you to keep the committee updated on your progress, and we can also share with the dissemination of information as well.
Great, thank you.
No, you're welcome. So I think we've had a motion to approve, and it's been seconded. Are there any other questions from any committee member? If not, we are ready to vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Boone, how do you vote?
I think
it looks like you voted. You did. You did. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Shook, how do you vote? I see your vote is there. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
All right. Thank you.
The vote is closed.
All right. Good news. That is unanimously approved. Thank you. Mr. Evans, I believe that concludes our legislative items. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, colleagues, are there any other issues of concern for this committee that you'd like to bring forth now? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And thank you, colleagues. Great meeting. Yes, thank you all.
Great meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.